Go Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo Bhagavate
Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 27. Attack by Chanda Vega on the city of King Varshana. Text 8. Sapanchala Pati Putran Pitri Vamsa Vivardhana Dalai Samyo Jayanasa Tuhitri Sadrashai Varai Sapanchala Pati Putran Pitri Vamsa Vivardhana Darai Samyo Jayamasa Tuhitri Sadrashai Varai Sapanchala Pati Putra Pitri Vamsa Vivardhana Darai Samyo Jayanasa Tuhitri Sadrashai Varai Panchalapati, the king of Panchala, Putra, sons, Pitri Vamsa, paternal family, Vivardhana, increasing, Dada Sadgrashai, qualified. Varai, with husbands. Translation. This is Narada Muni speaking to King Prachinabarhisha and giving him an allegory, which actually is all about King Prachinabarhisha, but Narada Muni is being very tactful and not directly speaking strongly to the king, but he will say, there's a person like you. Translation. After this, King Varshana, king of the Panchala country, in order to increase the descendants of his paternal family, married his sons with qualified wives and married his daughters with qualified husbands. Purport. According to the Vedic system, everyone should marry. One has to accept a wife, because a wife will produce children, and the children in their turn will offer foodstuffs and funeral ceremonies, so that the forefathers, wherever they may live, will be made happy. The offering of oblations in the name of Lord Vishnu is called Pindodaka, and it is necessary that the descendants of a family offer Pinda to the forefathers. Not only was Puranjana, the king of Panchala, satisfied in his own sex life, but he arranged for the sex life of his 1,100 sons and 110 daughters. In this way, one can elevate an aristocratic family to the platform of a dynasty. It is significant in this verse that Puranjana got both sons and daughters married. It is the duty of a father and mother to arrange for the marriage of their sons and daughters. That is the obligation in Vedic society. Sons and daughters should not be allowed freedom to intermingle with the opposite sex unless they are married. This Vedic social organization is very good in that it stops the promulgation of illicit sex life, or Varna Sankara, which appears under different names in this present day. Unfortunately, in this age, although the father and mother are anxious to get their children married, the children refuse to get married by the arrangement of the parents. Consequently, the number of Varna Sankara has increased throughout the world under different names. Translation again. After this, King Puranjana, king of the Panchala country, in order to increase the descendants of his paternal family, married his sons with qualified wives and married his daughters with qualified husbands. Om Ganatimanandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So as you know, most likely, if you've read Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, King Puranjana is an allegorical creation by Narada Muni to avoid Narada Muni directly getting on King Prachinabarhisha's case, while at the same time tactfully administering the medicine, the corrective knowledge to King Prachinabarhisha. Now you have to keep in mind that compared to human society today, King Prachinabarhisha is far beyond the level of human beings today, and his offspring are far beyond the level of human beings today. Yet, Narada Muni is criticizing him because the king, Prachinabarhisha, is too much absorbed in karmic activities. Narada Muni is pointing out, you are a swargi. You're doing all these intricate Vedic rituals, vows, and charity to go to the heavenly planets. Where's the bhakti? So you have to keep that in mind. You're getting here in these chapters about the King Puranjana allegory. You're getting insight into how a real human society functions in terms of good karma, punya, and bad karma, papa. King Varshana's not a bad guy. But Narada Muni, just like Narada Muni pointed out to Vyasadeva in the first canto, you compile all these shastras, and practically all of them are mostly glorifying the path of karma kanda, the path of Vedic rituals for elevation to higher planets in the next life. You're encouraging people in that way just to be material enjoyers, although authorized material enjoyers. So that's the difference between the Vedic system presented here and what we have today. One system is authorized, restricted material enjoyment. The other is just go crazy, go mad. Just like yesterday at the wedding talk, the mother of the groom said in her speech, and she was speaking honestly and being complimentary in her contemporary way. Well, when I mothered him, when I had him, and he was growing up to become a teenager, I was ready for everything, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But I wasn't ready for him to become a Hare Krishna. So I asked her, well, which is better? So that's the Kali Yuga standard. I was ready for everything, the normal stuff, you know? But instead of the normal stuff, what did I get? He's chanting Hare Krishna. Puranjana, the very name of this allegorical figure, means one who dwells or lives within a body. And this Puranjana, as Narada Muni is presenting the allegory, is king of the Panchala country. Panchala refers to, as Narada Muni presents it, the city or the country, the land, where the five sense objects are everything. Sight, sound, touch, smell, what else? Vision, rupa, gandha, sparsha, shabda, and so forth. Those five sense objects are the Panchala Desh, the land that Puranjana inhabits and is pursuing. But he's pursuing the sense objects in a Vedic way. And he's actually very paka. Where are his sons? Where are King Prachinabarhisha's sons? We're not referring to the sons and daughters mentioned in this allegorical presentation about King Puranjana. Where are the real sons? They're under the ocean practicing austerities. 10,000 of them, prachetas. Because Prachinabarhisha knows if you're going to be materially happy, you need to perform austerity. Such an alien concept these days. The word even sounds funny, doesn't it? Austerity. So his 10,000 sons, he sent to perform austerities so that they could actually be good family persons, good Vedic enjoyers, karmic enjoyers, and benefit the people that they're ruling. So you might say, well, 10,000 sons living under the water. Oh, they lived, how many sons? They lived for 10,000 years. I forgot exactly how many sons they were allowed. But they were underwater for 10,000 years. So you might say, well, how can anyone do that? People today call it a miracle when they hear about someone walking on water. Oh my God, someone walks on water. But here you see the prachetas are living underwater for 10,000 years. A different yuga, when your lifespan was 100,000 years, nothing to spend 10,000 years for austerity. And while they're underwater, they encounter Lord Shiva, who presents to them the Rudra Gita, the song of Lord Shiva. Meanwhile, what is the father doing? He's absorbed in good karma, Vedic rituals, Vedic vows, Vedic charity, dana, vrata, tapas, austerities, yajna, all kinds of elaborate sacrifices. And what is his aim? The heavenly planets. Enjoy now materially and enjoy the next birth. And this is authorized for those who want to be authentic materialists. But Narada Muni is going to upset the apple cart, so to speak. He tells them, you want to be free from all distress, and you want satisfying happiness. Don't you know you'll never get this by karmic activity? So think about it. What do you mean you'll never get material happiness by material activities? We think that happiness, as I explained so many times, is there for our grabbing. Just reach out in the right way. You've got happiness. It's so painful for us to hear that the happiness is constrained. The so-called happiness is restricted and limited according to our past karma. Who feels that? I'm not limited by my past karma. I'm an independent enjoyer, and my happiness depends on me, my state of mind. Have I taken a mindfulness course? It depends on me, just striving for happiness in the right way, being with the right people, doing the right things, and then you're happy. We don't understand. We are bound up, shackled, and restricted in all our happiness endeavors. So does that mean, as a Krishna Bhakta, we should just be miserable because you can't try for happiness, and you know that all material happiness is limited according to your karma? No, you're striving to make Krishna happy. But isn't Krishna unlimitedly happy? Yes, but you get credit just by thinking of Krishna's happiness and striving to please Krishna, even though Krishna is unlimitedly happy. Sometimes persons say, why all the focus on giving everything to Krishna? Krishna's pleasure, Krishna's satisfaction. What about us? In other words, if Krishna is perfect and complete, he owes us something because we're his parts and parcels. He should be giving us material happiness, because that's all we know. And therefore, the purpose of any supreme controller is to bestow material happiness. Otherwise, what other function could he have? During our Easter festival, Easter weekend festival, I was telling a pastime from Haridas Thakur. You may think you've heard it before, because I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, but I'm reading it again and again and just meditating on the full impact. So Haridas Thakur, he's in a place called Pulia, and he's just doing what Haridas Thakur does, chant Hare Krishna. Ecstatic symptoms, lost in ecstasy of chanting Hare Krishna. Sometimes he would roar the Hare Krishna mantra. All the ecstatic symptoms were visible in him. But there was a Mohammedan Qazi, administrator, local administrator, who was very angry at Haridas Thakur. You were born in a Mohammedan family. What are you doing chanting the Hindu mantras? Obviously the Qazi had a bodily conception of Dharma, bodily conception of spirituality. You were born in a certain family. you should be acting a certain way and not acting in a certain way. So he was really angered by Haridas Thakur's chanting. So he went to his superior, he went to the king, the Mohammedan king, and complained. This Haridas Thakur, he's had a high-class birth, born in a Mohammedan family. Nice family of meat eaters. And look at him. He's deviated in such an extraordinary way. So, due to the Qazi's pushing, the king said, all right, bring him here. Bring him before me. We'll have a talk with him. When the Vaishnavas heard this, they had two things simultaneously. They had happiness because they were always meditating on Haridas Thakur's ecstatic chanting. And then they had sadness simultaneously because, oh no, he's summoned to see the king. That means prison, torture, oh no. So I've been thinking about this dual reaction of the Vaishnavas. Happy, simultaneous with anxiety. What's going to happen to our beloved Haridas Thakur? So the result was, the first result, this is before Haridas Thakur was beaten in 20 limestone marketplaces. First he's sent to prison, and the prisoners, the devotee prisoners, when they heard this, Haridas Thakur is being brought to our prison, they were so happy. Why were they happy? He wills, by his blessings, by the blessings of a saintly person, will be relieved of prison suffering. Just by the blessings of a saintly person. Our diseases, our legal problems, our economic problems will all go away. Yes, let Haridas Thakur come to the prison. We'll be saved from prison in that way. So they appeal to the guards, please put Haridas Thakur in our section of the prison where the Vaishnava prisoners are. Or at least, if they're not Vaishnavas, they're persons who right now want to be Vaishnavas because if they get the blessings of a saintly person here, then they get out of jail. So yes, Hare Krishna, sure. So the prison guards agreed. All right. You can have Haridas Thakur in your area of the prison. And so Haridas Thakur came, and all the prisoners paid their obeisances. And while paying obeisances to Haridas Thakur, they broke out in ecstatic symptoms just by paying obeisances to him. And Haridas Thakur cast his merciful glance upon them and said, with a very mysterious smile, he said something which seemed very paradoxical and ambiguous, unclear. He just, while having this mysterious smile on his face, he said, stay right where you are. Stay right there. The prisoners were totally downcast. Oh, we thought he's going to give us blessings to be relieved of the suffering of being in prison, and instead he says, stay right there. Stay right where you are. They were depressed, and Haridas Thakur noticed that. So he told them, don't think that the glance of a saintly person is inauspicious. You misunderstood me. You didn't understand what I meant. When I said, stay right there, stay where you are, I was addressing your mind. But the prisoners immediately thought, he's saying, stay in jail. Oh no, stay in prison. What kind of saintly person is this? What kind of blessings are we getting? So Haridas Thakur explained, stay right there, stay where you are. It means right now your mind is focused on Krishna. Stay like that. Let your mind stay in that way. In other words, may your mind be firmly fixed in bhakti. And it just so happens that you're able right now to do that because you're in prison. But what will happen if you go out of prison? There's a high chance that due to bad association, you'll fall into material life. Think about it. But here, you can chant Hare Krishna. No one is bothering you. No one's trying to drag you down. No bad association. Evidently, the devotee prisoners could associate with one another. Here is a perfect condition for you to chant Hare Krishna. So I'm talking to your mind. Mind, stay right there. So he explained like that to the prisoners. How the path of material enjoyment means you never learn your lesson. You repeat the same mistake again and again. So he concluded by saying, whatever your status, whatever your varna, whatever your ashrama, fix your mind on Krishna. And then, as he finished his presentation, he said, and by the way, in a few days you will be out of prison. And he kind of tossed that in at the end. Side effect. Just like Vaishnavas think of liberation. It's an accessory, an add-on. The Vaishnava is focused on giving happiness to Krishna, not getting liberation. So first, Haridas Thakur gave them a lesson. Look at your circumstances. Look at what's happening. Voluntarily or not, all you have is Krishna. Stay like that. But they thought he meant just stay in prison forever. So Haridas Thakur explained, my glance is not inauspicious. What I said is not inauspicious. Think about it. Your circumstances right now. You can chant Hare Krishna without disturbance. Outside of prison, I don't know what could happen to you. You could get dragged down by the currents and waves of material enjoyment. But he mercifully added at the end as an add-on. You'll be out of prison in a few days. It could be most likely that that's what the prisoners value the most. Yeah, okay, now you're talking. Now you cut to the chase. You're giving the real benediction. We'll be out of prison. But for Haridas Thakur, the real benediction was, may your mind be fixed on Krishna, regardless of your external circumstances. So here you have Narada Muni and King Prachinabarsa. And the king is a master of good karma. But Narada Muni is pointing out to him, it's a very dangerous path. Just one small mistake in the yajnas you're doing, sacrificing so many animals, and you have to pay for it with your life in the future verse. Narada Muni, with his mystic power, showed in the sky the animals that had died in the yajna when there was some mistake in the yajna, and Narada Muni showed in the sky. He showed the king, they're all waiting for you to die, and then they will avenge themselves. They'll attack you in your next life. Because he's performing so many yajnas, he's doing it the right way, but there's just high probability. And Narada Muni showed him, yes, the probability happened, that you're going to make a mistake. Because if you do the yajnas right, what happens to the animals? Huh? Yes, they get elevated. But if you make a mistake in the yajna, because the yajnas are so elaborate, then you have to pay for it with your life. So Narada Muni is explaining, yes, you successfully done so much yajna, rituals, vrata, you've taken so many vows, dana, you've given so much in charity, but it's a very risky path because you'll always make a mistake. somewhere along the line, sooner or later, and you'll have to pay for that mistake. Just like the example of Maharaj Driga in Krishna Lila. The Yadu Kumars, the sons of the Yadu dynasty, were out playing in the forest, and they came upon a huge well, and they looked down in the well, which was actually covered with so many thorns and bushes. They looked down in the well, which was very big, and in the depths of the water in the well was a huge snake. And so the boys were very compassionate. And the Yadu Kumars, oh, how did this massive creature get in this well? The well was situated in such a way that you couldn't ordinarily see it. Or you could say, the acharyas point out, that Krishna didn't allow these young boys to see this well until just now. So this time they're playing in the forest and they come upon the well, whether by Krishna's arrangement or the fact is that the well was covered with lots of undergrowth. So they saw this huge snake and they tried to pull the creature out of the well, but they couldn't do it. What do you mean? They're the sons of the Yadu dynasty? They couldn't do this? Well, they're not at the stage yet in their development in the Leela to have insurmountable powers. So, by the arrangement of the Leela, the pastime energy, they couldn't get the job done. They tried with ropes, they tried so many devices to get this creature out of the well. So then they reported back to Krishna in the city of Dwarka. And Krishna went with them to the forest, to this spot. And Krishna just extended his left hand and pulled out the creature. And by the touch of Krishna's hand, the creature turned into a dazzling golden form of a demigod, a devata. Now, Krishna knows everything, but Krishna wants to educate the general public about the dangers of karmic activity and especially the dangers of misappropriating a brahmana's property. So Krishna asked him, I can see that you're a very elevated being, dazzling like the sun, a devata, demigod, yet you came from such an abominable situation. What happened? How did you have such an abominable situation that suddenly you were rescued from? And what was Niga's reply? He said that he's speaking humbly. Perhaps word of me might have entered your ears. Perhaps you might have heard of me, but I'm so insignificant it's probable that you, the Almighty Supreme Personality Godhead, don't know such a tiny creature as me. So let me explain, even though you know everything. I was famous for giving so much charity as King Riga. How much charity did I give? I gave brahmanas as many cows as are grains of sand on the earth. I gave as many cows in charity as are raindrops. You might say, this sounds like an exaggeration. You could take it, the acharya, say that you can't count the number of cows he gave in charity to brahmanas. Or you could, and you're justified to take it as it is, that he gave millions of cows in charity. Why? Because if you give one cow at Kurukshetra, or if you give one cow during a solar eclipse, that equals 10 million cows. Interesting detail. So whatever way you want to take it, you can't count the number of cows that Riga gave. So what happened? You know from Krishna book, if you haven't read it in Bhagavatam, one of the cows from a neighboring Brahmana wandered into Niga's flock, the part of the flock in which he was going to give to another Brahmana. And the original owner of that one cow found out, what? You have misappropriated, you've taken one of my cows and merged it with a herd that you're giving to another Brahmana. So both the original Brahmana and the other one began to have an argument. This is my cow. No, this is my cow. He gave the cow to me. He shouldn't have given you the cow. It's my cow. So Maharaj Jiva had a very practical, generous solution. Why are you arguing over this one cow? I'll give each of you 10,000 cows. Now, of course, according to our version of practicality, the Brahmanas should have taken the 10,000 and forgot about the one cow. But these are Brahmanas. And obviously they're not very detached Brahmanas. No amount of cows will make up the difference for this one cow. This is why often you don't have some type of Brahmanas in management. No, nothing can compensate for that one cow. If you give me millions of cows, no, I refuse. Niga was really sweating. Oh no, because he knew, if I don't sort this situation out, I'll be guilty of taking a Brahmana's property. My future will be very bleak. So he was begging them. But they refused. No, it's my cow. No, it's my cow. Why did you take my cow? He gave it to me. Why did he give you my cow? Not very advanced Brahmanas. So they wouldn't sort out the situation. And upon Niga Maharaj's death, he goes before Yamaraj, not to the hell that Yamaraj can supervise, but he goes to a place where Yamaraj looks at his past and says, what do you want to do? Do you want to first experience the results of your bad karma, or you want to experience first the results of your good karma? And then Yamaraj gives him a hint. You have performed so much good karma, you'll never get to the end of heavenly enjoyment. You say, wow, never gets to the end of enjoyment on the heavenly planets. Of course, everything comes to an end, but Yamaraj means you can't calculate how much time you'll have in the heavenly planets with heavenly enjoyment. So what, with our Kali Yuga intelligence, what will we think? This is a pretty good deal. Never-ending enjoyment means, even though it will end because the whole universe ends, but it'll be so far in the future, I don't have to worry about it. Just like right now. I'm young. Old age is so far away, you don't have to worry about it, right? So, what did Maharaj Niga make of such a hint? Loud hint given to him by Yamaraj. Basically, Yamaraj is telling you, you should go for experiencing your happiness first. But Niga had his own way of thinking. Isn't happiness better after you first suffer? First, I should suffer whatever bad karma I have, and then I'll appreciate so much the unlimited material happiness I'll get from my good karma. Yamaraj looked at him and said, all right, Fall, become a lizard. Lizard, snake is a kind of lizardous creature. Fall and become a lizard. And Yeager saw himself. He saw himself turning, his body turning into that of a lizard. So that's how he found himself trapped in a well in a lizard's body. But somehow or other, during his karma, kanda, full absorption, he had met a devotee. And the devotee asked, I have some beautiful deities. Can you build a temple for me? And I'd like a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Can you arrange that? You're the king. And Maharaj Yeager did that, thinking, helping this Vaishnava is very good karma. Vishnu will be sure to guarantee my stay in the heavenly planets. So he's doing devotional service for a material gain. In any case, the devotee blessed him. One day you'll have darshan of the Supreme Personality Godhead. So Maharaj Yeager is thinking, okay, one day I'll have darshan of Vishnu. That will guarantee my material enjoyment. So that's his mindset. So similarly, Prajnaparsha's mindset is simply material enjoyment through the Vedic system. And that Vedic system is all meant to minimize sinful reactions and maximize good karma. This is separate from bhakti. So therefore you're getting so much information in this chapter about the Vedic system. In the Vedic system, you're not just marrying a husband, you're not just marrying a wife, you're marrying the whole package to the whole way of life. And for people who've grown up outside of India, and even increasingly so in India, that notion seems so alien. I mean, I'm marrying a system? No way. It's just the person. We'll see how long it lasts. It's just the person. Everything is the person. Your physiology, your psychology. That's the meditation. But what Narada Muni is telling King Prajnaparsha, and what's going on during this classic Vedic civilization presentation, is that Prajnaparsha's, well, in the allegory he's speaking about King Puranjana. The sons and daughters of Puranjana, they're not just marrying the person, they're marrying a whole system of Vedic rituals, of karmic requirements, so much so that just like Prajnaparsha, you can get lost in the rituals surrounding birth, death, conception. There are rituals, there are vows, there are acts of charity for every single step of life. So Prabhupada explains that you can forget all about the miseries of life because you're so absorbed in all the rituals associated at every step of the way. Birth rituals, before that conception rituals, first grains, this, that, the other, on and on it goes. And then, as you hear in the purport, offering of oblations for the benefit of the deceased forefathers. So you get so absorbed in that, you forget. Hey, dukkhalayam shashvatam, the material world's a temporary, miserable place. You forget all about that and just get caught up in all the Vedic rituals. Marriages, funerals, every step of the way is a Vedic ritual for good karma. So that's the problem that Narada Muni is pointing out. You can never get what you want by the path of karmic activity. You'll never be satisfied. And we heard about the example of Maharaj Yeager. He made a slight mistake. So you may say, why did he get punished to be a lizard? Just for a slight mistake, unintentional. But Krishna is showing this is the danger of the path of good karma. That's why in the 6th canto of Bhagavatam, when the Yamadutas are explaining themselves to the Vishnudutas, because the Vishnudutas are challenging them, so the Yamadutas are replying, we're doing our job. Our job is to take sinful persons to the court of Yamaraj. And they said a very interesting thing, these Yamadutas. They said, sooner or later, in this lifetime or a future lifetime, we get everyone. Because if you're on the path of good karma, either in this life or the next life, you're going to make a slip up. And so the Yamaduta said, and when you slip up, we'll be there for you. So that's what Maharaj Neva found out. He didn't see the Yamadutas because of so much pious activity, but he saw Yamaraj, and Yamaraj said, hey, here's the picture. What do you want? Suffer first your bad karma, or enjoy first your good karma? And Yamaraj hinted to him, your good karma is so immense, I don't see an end to your enjoyment in heavenly planets. So you're thinking, why did Maharaj Jiva have to suffer just for us? Unintentional mistake. But you have to look at the system as the Shastra is presenting it. The path of good karma is very dangerous. Now, fast forward into the situation we have today. Who knows anything about the path of good karma? It's all about me. How do I feel right now? What are my senses telling me? People don't, even in the material sense, they don't accept any experts, any authorities. I want to know something? I go on the internet. I'm the master of my knowledge, the master of my faith. Who are these experts anyway? What do they know? And it's such a artificially, illusory, liberating state of mind. I don't need any experts. I don't need to rely on any authorities. It's just all me. I go on the internet, I express my opinions. It's good as Shastra. Who are these experts in there? What do they know? Oh, they spent 8 years at the uni. Who cares? Chiropractors and lawyers and doctors. What do they know? Just go on the internet and you're master of the world. So it's such an artificially empowering feeling. I'm autonomous, I'm free. Bah! The hell with all these experts. Who needs them? They just cost money anyway. That's the situation you have today. Everyone is their own expert. What does the Guru know? What do the Brahmanas know? What does Srimad Bhagavatam know? So this is the decline of human civilization. It's getting worse and worse. Whereas Vedic social organization is something different. You accept expertise. You accept authoritative wisdom. You accept a certain lifestyle. That's what King Prachita has bought into, and in this allegory spoken by Narada Muni, that's what Puranjana is doing. He's marrying his 1,100 sons and 110 daughters. Of course, Srila Prabhupada's looking at this many-faceted situation. He's looking at a particular facet. Not only was Puranjana the king of Panchala, satisfied in his own sex life, but he arranged the sex life of his 1,100 sons and 110 daughters. So wait a minute, he's just getting his kids married, what's the big deal? But the Bhaktivedanta purports are always illuminating things that we don't normally think of. Look at another way, flipping the situation over, if you dare. Puranjana is just he's arranged for his own sex life, and then he's arranging for the sex life of 1,100 sons, 110 daughters. And we hear in the purport, this Vedic social organization is very good in that it stops the promulgation of illicit sex life. Who wants to stop that? I mean, get real, that's each individual's choice. What else is there to life anyway? We're adults. What happens, happens. But that is the obligation in Vedic society. Sons and daughters should not be allowed freedom to intermingle with the opposite sex unless they are married. No, wait a minute. Isn't that kind of Victorian age, or isn't that kind of just, it's barbaric. It's your body. It's up to you to decide what to do with your body. Why do you call it sinful? What's that got to do with anything? It's up to you. So this is a very difficult pill for the so-called Western civilization to swallow. And it's becoming increasingly that way in India too. Do your thing. Let your senses do what they want to do, and there'll be prosperity. There'll be peace. There'll be satisfaction. So in this way, the whole of human society just crashes to the lowest depths. And that's what's happening today. But people's vision is focused on a temporary prosperity. Very temporary. And they're mesmerized by that. Well, I look around in the country where I live, it's not Syria, it's not Gaza Strip. I mean, things are looking pretty good. There's a few cyclones, sometimes the earth shakes, but life is pretty good. That all can change in a flash. But we're so mesmerized by the temporary presence of prosperity, we don't see that that so-called prosperity results in a hellish situation. So it's good to know what the real standard of human civilization is. And that's what Narada Muni is doing, and that's what Prabhupada is doing in these purports. Of course, the situation is much worse than what he talks about in the purports. Unfortunately, in this age, although the father and mother are anxious to get their children married, really? Almost all the time they're, hey, you don't have to do this, you know. Look what happened to your parents, you know. We're not together. We don't expect you to be together. Don't make the mistake we made. Unfortunately, in this age, although the father and mother are anxious to get their children married, the children refuse to get married by the arrangement of their parents. That part is still happening. I think I mentioned before, I was in Adelaide speaking to a very nice group of students doing their postgraduate degrees at the University of Adelaide. They're from BART. And so they're all around 25, 26, 27. So I said, well, I kind of joked, any candidates for the Brahmacharya ashram here? Everyone was to the floor. So, all right, I said, you all are planning to get married. How are you going to pull that off? How are you going to get married? They all just looked at me and told me what I expected, what I knew they would say. We don't worry about that. We marry whoever our parents select. Say that in a Western audience, people look at you like you're crazy. What do your parents have to do with who you are with? That's up to your mind, it's your body, it's your decision. But these up-and-coming devotees from Bharat, they had no concern. No, I'm not worried. No, my parents will select someone, and that's who I'll marry. Even our devotees born outside of India, they can't swallow it. How dare someone make a decision that's so personal to me? How do I decide who to marry? I consult my mind, I consult my body, and make a decision. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, so what? So in this way, you can see the social fabric of society is deteriorating so much. Even in India, unfortunately. So when we hear statements like, the Vedic social organization is very good in that it stops the promulgation of illicit sex life, isn't this kind of prudish? Isn't this kind of restrictive? Why can't men and women freely intermingle and, good things come from that? What is life without the intermingling? So this is the problem, the main problem in spreading Krishna consciousness, bhakti throughout the world. The Vedic system has its rules for a purpose, but we don't accept the purpose. The purpose is to cut down on the probability of illicit sex life. Really, are we so hung up about that? Sometimes things happen. What's the big deal, Why do we need a whole social structure just to deal with that? But that is real human civilization. So, King Puranjana, the allegorical King Puranjana, is doing the right thing. He's getting his sons, 1,100 sons and 110 daughters married. But Narada Muni is still on his case. Narada Muni is saying, you're just arranging for sex life. Where's your bhakti? You're doing everything Vedic correctly, but what about the goal of the Vedas? So what you're seeing going on in this section of Bhagavatam is a masterful, extraordinarily masterful presentation by Srila Prabhupada. He's presenting to the classic Vedic system and Narada Muni's criticisms of that, while simultaneously getting on our case for living in such degraded times. So his purports are talking about the Vedic system, the classical Vedic system, and also talking about the way things are today. So he's juggling all that at once. It's inconceivable mercy. We can see what the classical Vedic system is, and Narada Muni's criticisms of that, and we can also see the horrors of today, which are getting worse with each passing year. So yes, Puranjana did good. He married his sons with qualified wives and married his daughters with qualified husbands. But Narada Muni is going to point out, there's more to life than that. You're so Vedic, what about the goal of the Vedas? So we have to appreciate how elevated were the dealings of this allegorical Puranjana, meaning King Varshana. At the same time, just like Narada Muni tells Vyasadeva in the first canto, you have expertly presented so much knowledge of karmic activity, good karma. People will mistakenly think that is the goal of the Vedas. You better write something else. And that's when Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is how deep the knowledge of bhakti is. This is how deep Srimad Bhagavatam is. This is how deep the path of bhakti is. That even though Prachina Varsha was a good Vedic person, Narada Muni is on his case. Why? Because there's something more that's beyond material nature. Any questions? Yes.
Non-spiritual austerities have any place in devotional life?
Give me an example of what you call a non-spiritual austerity.
So like a soldier, he's trained to stand in one place for a long period of sportsman who's
Well, let's just stick with the example of the soldiers, since you were once in the military. So they trained you to stand in one place without moving.
that's what they expected to do.
They expected of that. So that was every day of the week?
Yeah, there's not always.
Every day of every month you were just standing in one place?
No.
What happened on the weekends? On vegetables. So that's the problem with material austerity. You can't stay on that platform, especially in the age of Kali. It's Bhoga Tyaga, as Nectar Devotion explains. You alternate between detachment and enjoyment. So for some days you restrain yourself, and then other days you go wild. You can't stick with what appear to be good qualities because you're living in such contamination. So yes, you may see, oh, this person has developed some tolerance, this person has developed some patience in material life. But it won't last, and not only will it not last, but while they're exhibiting such temporary aspects, such temporary facets, there's a million other horrible things going on in their life. This is the age of Kali. Another reason why Narada Muni is telling Vyasdeva, you've got to compile something else. This is why Krishna dealt with King Yurga and explained it to residents of Dwarka. How can residents of Dwarka have any karmic problems? But just like Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita by aiming it at Arjuna, when the message is meant for the whole world, similarly, Krishna's instruction about the problems with the path of karma are meant for everyone, but he's aiming it at the residents of Dwarka. He said something very, you would say, heavy things about what happens when you misappropriate the property of a Brahmana. He goes on for about 7 verses about it. You may think, what's the big deal? All Nirga did was unintentionally give a cow or misappropriate a cow. But Krishna says, if you misappropriate the property of a Brahmana, 3 generations are destroyed. And if you forcibly misappropriate the property of a Brahmana by way of the government or some gundas, some hoodlums, 10 generations of your family suffer. That means generations before and generations after. Another verse he says, if you misappropriate the property of a Brahmana, you will cook in the Kumbhi Paka hell. Anyone remember the description of the Kumbhi Paka? Who remembers?
Is the surface like copper? Hot like copper?
That's right. You're cooked in oil. Why is Krishna speaking like this? Like 6 or 7 verses about what happens if you... He even says, because the question can be posed to Krishna, what if the Brahmana insults you? What if he physically attacks you? What does Krishna say? Let it be. Don't strike back. This is Krishna speaking about classic Vedic civilization in which there are systematic ways for dealing with everything. And one of those aspects of the system is you don't tangle with Brahmanas, even if they're wrong. Wait a minute, what kind of system is that? But this is how beneficial the whole system is. Even in spite of an individual's wrongdoing, Krishna wants the system to be respected. So again, if you're part of Vedic culture, Vedic civilization, you're not just an individual. you have embraced a system. You're immersed in the system. Oh, it sounds so horrible, doesn't it? I'm me. I'm not a system. I'm me with my desires, my plans, my goals. I do what I want. And that's the path to peace and prosperity and satisfaction. Meanwhile, you look around you and the social fabric of society is completely disintegrating. Everyone's going mad. Anything else? Yes.
Throughout your class, you showed us the contrarian view against the Vedic system. And when we come against those opposing opinions, say, do whatever you want, or you shouldn't be restricted and so on, how should we act? Should we come to those arguments?
Point out they are restricted. Their body is not the portal to unlimited enjoyment. The body is totally limited. Point out to them, whatever their favorite activity or activities are, there are limitations. There's time limitations, strength limitations, limitations on intelligence. Tell them, stop the flow of distress. Try it. All they know, when there's distress, what do? Take intoxication. Stop getting old. Be a student at the uni forever. Pay your loans forever. I used to know back in the 90s, the average age that a New Zealander pays off all his or her university loans, somewhere in the mid-40s. No, I'm not limited. I'm not curtailed. What about your loans? Don't have to pay until your income rises above a certain level. They got all the answers. They can't see. Chained and bound. Why are you at the union? Is it out of a pure love for knowledge? No, why are you at the union?
To get a career.
To get a career. Why are you getting a career?
So you can pay your bills.
To pay your bills. And you're free, huh? No limitations, right? So you have to point out to them, they're shackled at every step. This is why Narada Muni tells Prachina Varsha, you are all about trying to get happiness and fight off distress, but you can't do this through karma. That's a hard point to understand, so therefore Narada Muni presents this whole allegory of Paranjana. Any questions? Yeah?
Thank you for the class today. I was just wondering, we hear the Vedic perspective and then we see the modern reality. For example, with the children not intermingling, how do we know how much we can do and what we have, like our little control of our kids or whoever we're looking after?
That's the nectar of parenthood. That's what you signed up for. And every parent I've noticed has a different angle. I often explain, just like about education, that's a minefield. Each parent has a different idea what the Hare Krishna school should be teaching. Right? The school should be preparing my child to be Shukadev Goswami. The other parent said, no, the school should be preparing my child to be Bill Gates. Another parent, the school should be preparing our child to be Shukadev Goswami and Bill Gates. So poor Dharma Saintaguru has to deal with all that. So as a parent, you have the responsibility to guide your children at least while they listen. Anything else? Yes?
Thank you, Bernie, for class. We understand that through past life and the institution of marriage is so fundamental to Vedic culture. When we have a good marriage and as a responsible grihasta, how can we give service to support when we have other people going through difficulties in their marriages?
How can we be a service of support to those who are going through difficulties?
Help people stay together, help people stay married. What role do we have in that?
Those who are experienced, dedicated family persons should reach out and try to help if the person's going to listen. Often they don't want to listen. Jai Srila Prabhu was telling me something yesterday. Because we were commenting about, I was asking him, you know the answer better than I. Why is it that at marriages, everyone is so happy at the wedding ceremony? You notice, yes, everyone's bubbly. So he answered that, but more particularly, you know, it's all about expectations, hopes, dreams, the gingerbread house with whipped cream on top. But then I said, well, he got onto the subject of what it takes for a marriage to stay together. And of course, he's qualified to speak that. He's been married for 50 years or something. So he said something that when I said that to the brahmacharis, they were horrified. He said, you've got to be prepared to do whatever it takes to keep the relationship together. Whatever it takes. The brahmacharis were like, where's my freedom? Where's my independence? It's my life. So what if I wanted to marry? It doesn't mean I hand my whole life over. I'm me. So, in answer to your question, more directly, seek out householders who are dedicated to that yajna, that sacrifice. And hear from them how to weather the storms. We do have successful householders who've been through the make it or break it phase and come out the other side. Anything else? Yes, Nehemiah.
You're speaking on how everyone is becoming interested. You're authority.
Autonomous.
So I'm just wondering how do we need to adjust the way that we do things? So do we need to adjust as how we give the grace more?
How what?
Do we need to adjust as our preaching?
I don't know what your style is. All I know is you're enthusiastic, and I'm happy about that. I don't know what your style is. I don't know what you're telling the people. That doesn't mean everyone has to adjust themselves and their presentations to that reality. Our Sankirtan in New Zealand is based on the principle of do what works. Whatever motivates you to present the books, do that. We're just happy you get out the door. What you do after you get out the door, okay, just do it. Whether you tell them this book is the expertise you're looking for, or this book helps you to recognize the expertise within you. Sounded pretty good, I made it up on the spot. happy that you're trying to distribute Prabhupada's